The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA's heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.
They were put into a German POW camp. Roddie was the top-ranking infantryman in the camp. He was number one, meaning he was responsible for the lives of his fellow service members.
On March 2nd of this year, in the East Room at the White House, Master Sergeant Roddie Edmonds was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions saving the lives of Jewish soldiers at a prisoner of war camp in Germany in World War II. Roddie Edmonds' son, Chris, was there at the White House to accept the Medal of Honor on behalf of the Edmonds family. A few days ago, I went to Blount County, Tennessee to visit with Chris. I will have an extended version of that interview coming soon on the show. But today, I want to focus on one day in that camp. Master Sergeant Edmonds was awarded the Medal of Honor for actions from January 27th to March 30th of 1945. On this episode, Chris Edmonds tells the incredible story of what his father did on January 27th, a story that was almost lost forever until a man named Lester Tanner, one of the more than 200 Jewish soldiers who were saved that day, told Chris this story 13 years ago.
He said the Major became enraged. He pulled his pistol, pressed it hard into your father's forehead. He said, "Major, you can shoot me, but you'll have to kill all of us."
My name is Josh Rowe, and this is Tomorrowtown, Tennessee.
Lester told me the story, and here's what he told me. Dad was the highest-ranking American soldier in a Stalag 9A, a POW camp near Ziegenhain, Germany. It was late January 1945. Even in the POW camps, the Nazis had strict anti-Jewish policies, and they would segregate Jewish Americans from non-Jews and send them to their certain death in murderous concentration camps. As a matter of fact, the Army actually told Jewish soldiers, if you're ever captured, to destroy your dog tags and never mention your Jewish identity. It's very dangerous for the Jewish men, and more dangerous than it was for the non-Jewish men to go to Europe. So late on the evening of January 26, 1945, Dad received orders from the Germans that only the Jewish men were to fall out the following morning. Just the Jews, no one else. Anyone who disobeyed the orders would be shot. And Dad immediately turned to his men in his barracks, and he said, "We're not doing that. Tomorrow we all fall out." And then he sent orders to the other 4 barracks of American soldiers to do the same. I think Dad knew that strength is in numbers. And if he just sent even a portion of his men out there, there would be trouble he couldn't handle. And so it was barely cold that morning, January 27, 1945. As the Nazi commander approached, it wasn't the commandant. There's too many stories out there. Even the citation says commandant, and I didn't get to look at the citation to correct that. But the commandant's dangerous enough, but this made it much more dangerous. The major was stunned. He's from high command. All the Americans are standing in sharp formation. He couldn't believe it. This guy's the one who issued the orders in all the POW. He's in charge of all POW camps, the German system. He's one person removed from Hitler. He reports to General Jodl. He's the eyes and ears of Hitler in the camps. Anytime there's an issue with the reporting nations, he's there to smooth it over. He's issued the orders. He's there to take the Jews away. No one has ever disobeyed his orders. He's furious. He storms over to my father, gets up in his face. He said, "They can't all be Jews." And my father declares, "We are all Jews here." Lester said, "I was stunned. Not only was the major stunned," he said, "I was, and everybody that could hear Roddie, we were shocked by his bravery." He said, "But you know what? His bravery made us stand a little taller, feel a little braver. He said, then the major leaned into Dad as if he was going to, do something to him. And then your father spoke to him. He says, Major, all that's required by the Geneva Convention is name, rank, serial number. Don't quote regulations to me, screamed the major. Were my orders not clear? I want the Jews, just the Jews. And Lester said, time froze. And there was no movement, no sounds. We just were standing there, stunned by this encounter. And he said, and then your father, he said, he always had a habit of leaning in and ensuring eye contact. He said he leaned into the major, looked at him eye to eye. He said, Major, name, rank, serial number. That's all. And he said the major became enraged. He pulled his pistol, pressed it hard into your father's forehead, he said. And he screamed, one last chance, Sergeant. You will order the Jews to step forward or I will shoot you right now. And Lester said, we didn't know what was going to happen. He said, we stood there just frozen and said the only thing moving was the frozen breath from all of us rising heavenward. And then he said, and lots of prayers. He said it seemed like an eternity that gun was pressed to your father's forehead. Didn't know what your father was going to do. And he said then, almost as suddenly as the gun appeared to your father's forehead, still pressed into his head, your father spoke. He leaned in again, and he said, eye to eye, he locked eyes with the major. He said, Major, you can shoot me, but you'll have to kill all of us because we know who you are. And you'll be a war criminal when we win this war, and you will pay. Lester said the major turned white. He said he blanched. He turned white as a ghost. And his arm holding the gun began to quiver ever so slightly. He said, as your father, the truth of what your father shared with him sank into his soul. He said, it was unbelievable. And we continued to pray and pray and pray. And then he said, immediately, the major slammed his pistol in his holster, turned, and fled the scene. He said he never returned to ask for the Jewish men again. He said, we went back to the barracks and really cheered your father. He said, from then on, what Roddie said, that's what we did. He said, I knew we had a leader because he had been my commanding officer all the way through basic. He said, but all the men knew. Follow Roddie.
A big thank you to Chris Edmonds for sharing his father's incredible story. And more with Chris coming soon on Tomorrowtown, Tennessee. This podcast is a production of News Channel 9, Fox Chattanooga, and Sinclair Broadcast Group Chattanooga. I hope you join me again real soon.